No, ma'am.
Are you seeing or not? Are you able to see the presentation?
No, ma'am.
No. One second. Is it okay now?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. Still loading.
Still loading. Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. So in the previous class, it discussed about the corresponding digital communication standards. Before that class, we discussed about different modulation techniques that are used in the communication. Right? We discussed about the corresponding frequency modulation, amplitude modulation, and phase angle modulation. And coming to the digital modulation side and the digital modulation era, we discussed about different multiple accessing methods, that is multiplexing techniques that are used to accommodate multiple number of users, multiple number of sources, and multiple number of, hello. So if there are any other sources that are multiple number of channels are to be get connected for a communication purpose, then you are able to accommodate, you have to accommodate number of channels and number of spectrums and number of users and number of sources to get connected with. In that case, we are following certain multiplexing standards, and those categories already been discussed in the last class, right? That is the communication standards like what is called as space division multiple access, and the time division multiple access, frequency division multiple access, code division multiple access, and orthogonal frequency division multiple access. And all those multiple accesses are going to be accessing the same category, while all are going to be other features are going to be getting shared, right? That is a particular frequency is going to be multiply divided, or a particular space is being multiply shared among all the other sources, whereas other features are going to be remain constant, right? If the space is going to be shared, time and frequency are remain same, and if the time is being shared, frequency and space are going to be remain same. In that way, code division multiple access is there, frequency division multiple access is there, space division multiple access is there. That way, different categories are being shared among different channels, and different sources, in order to accommodate multiple connectivity among the multiple communication points. Right, and also we discussed about the different digital standards, which are going to give you the complete digital communication among the mobile communication points. Here completely there will be a mobile communicating points, and there will be a digital communication standard, not the analog communication itself. So among the digital communication standards, here we are having the first generation first, whereas the wireless devices are only communicating with the voice communication among the analog cellular and circuit switching methodologies. Using the analog cellular and circuit switching methodologies, only voice is going to be get communicated among the all the communication points. Next, the 2G comes into scene, where this communication is going to be propagated and communication has been done along with the voice. The data signals are also being given permitted. Okay, these data signals and also the voice signals are being communicated at the data rate of 14.4 kbps and 9.6 kbps, and also the 19.2 kbps in various versions of the 2G, right? Various versions of the 2G is going to be giving the chance for us to communicate voice along with the data signals having the different data rates. After the 2G, various versions of it and various variants of the 2G has been came into existence, like 2.5G and 2.5G plus, whereas its data rates has been enhanced up to 384 kbps, right? Next one is third generation. And third generation mobile data rates are going to be very higher when compared to 2G, where they are going to be supporting both the voice data and also the multimedia data. I mean the multimedia services. So that for a long distance transmissions, for the longer distances, if the people want to communicate in both the voice and also data and also the graphical data to be get communicated, then you are preferring the 3G, whereas it is having the higher data rate when compared to the 2G. Thereafter, we are having different variations as in the 2G generation. 3G is also having different variations like 3G, 3G plus and pre-4G facilities. Okay. And these data rates are up to 100 Mbps when compared to the 2G. It is very higher. 2G is having only the maximum rate of 384 kbps, whereas the 3G is having up to 100 Mbps. Okay. And this data rate will be very higher if we go for the shorter distances, and it is going to be getting fluctuated whenever it will be very far, right? And coming to the communication part, that is, it's going to be supporting both voice data and the multimedia streams, so that it is going to be enabling us to transfer certain shorter video clips, and we'll have the faster multimedia communication when compared to the 2G, right? And coming to the GSM standard, this particular GSM standard is there nothing but it's a particular standard of protocols for mobile telecommunication, which has been introduced by the GSM group in the Europe in 1982. In 1982, Europe country has been introduced a particular mobile communication standard of protocols called as GSM, a global system for mobile communication. And the group which has been introduced this GSM mobile communication is the Group Special Mobile. The same GSM group has been introduced in a group called as GSM, that is the Global System for Mobile Communication, in 1982, supporting the cellular networks. So what are its features? And nothing but it is going to be using the GMSK modulation, that is Global Mobile System modulation technique, whereas here the K indicates what sort of a channel rate or the number of channels that you are going to use. Why? Because GMS is going to be having the different variations in providing or in accommodating multiple number of uploading and downloading channels, that is uplink or downloading channels. That is nothing but how many number of users can be accommodated for uploading the data parallelly, and how many number of users are going to be accommodated to download the data parallelly among the number of frequency bands and number of time divisions, among the different number of time divisions and also different frequency bands. So that GMS is going to be tagged with a particular constant called as K, where K varies the number of channels that you are going to accommodate within a frequency range that you are going to use that. In this particular GMS communication, the FDMA is the basic source, that is the total available or accommodated, to be accommodated channels are going to be divided among the frequency spectrums, that is available frequency is divided into different bands, that is frequency division multiple access is used for this GSM, right? And first version of this particular GMS modulation, it is having 124 up channels and 124 down channels among the frequency range of 890, 915 megahertz at uplink and 935 to 960 megahertz of downlink frequency spectrum. And each channel is having a bandwidth of 200 kilohertz, among which each and every channel is going to be accommodating a particular radio frequency channel or radio carrier analog signals sliced with TDMA. Each and every spectrum, that is among 124 channel, each and every channel is going to be accommodating 8 radio carrier analog signals which are sliced with TDMA. And user time slices of among 577 milliseconds. So 124 into 8 for up channels, 124 into 8 for down channels, each user sliced among 577 milliseconds, and data rate is up to maximum of 14.4 kbps, right? And EGSM, that is the extended mobile communication of GSM. Here, additional spectrum of 10 megahertz has been added for both for uplink and downlink channels, and these two are being named as GSM 1800 and GSM 1900. GSM 1800 is going to be providing you the uplink frequency from 1780 to 1785 and downlink with 1805 to 1880. As it is ranging up to 1800, the GSM K modulation, here we are calling it as GSM 1800. In the place of K, you are going to use the 1800 there. and GSM 1900, it is having 1850 to 1910 megahertz for uplink and 1930 to 1990 megahertz for downlink. It is GSM K of 1900. So these two spectrums are being added as a additional spectrum of megahertz, 10 megahertz on both uplink and downlink channels, and this version is called as the extended GSM, EGSM, right? Next one is GPRS, General Packet Radio Service, which is the extension of our 2G plus and 2.5G. Here, the data rate or the data communication will be in the form of a packet-oriented service. Data will be transmitted in the form of a packets. Okay, data will be communicated in the form of a packet. And here, what this GSM 2G and 2G 2.5G is going to be using for the communication of their packets are nothing but they are going to using the unutilized TDMA channels. Unutilized TDMA channels in GSM network. So already we discussed that there are 124 channels for up and down link, and each and every channel is having the TDMA channels of 8 each, and those 8 are going to be used. Some are used and some are going to be unused. Those unused channels will be used for GSM 2G and 2.5G, right? And next one is Edge. This is an enhanced evaluation of the GSM itself with the extra data rates or enhanced data rates for GSM evaluation, which is nothing but an enhancement phase of 2.5G. Here, the communication, the modulation procedure that you are going to use here is 8 PSK. That is nothing but 8 phase angle or phase shifted keying communication is used to reach high data rates of 48 kbps per 200 kilobits of channel. Each and every channel is of rate of 200 kilohertz, and it is going to have the data rate of 48 kilobytes per second, and compared to the 14.4 kbps in GSM general version or original version, here it has been enhanced from 14.4 to the 48 kbps. Using this coding technique, the data rate can be enhanced here. Using the coding techniques, you can enhance the data rate from the same 200 kilohertz channel. Okay, Edge is another version of GSM, and EGPRS and the HSC-SD. EGPRS is the GPRS, extension of the GPRS, General Packet Radio Service, enhanced GPRS, an extension of GPRS with 8 PSK again. Here also you're going to use the 8 phase shift keying, whereas the data rate will be enhanced when compared to the Edge. And the same thing can also be used in the HSC-SD, whereas what is the HSC-SD is high speed circuit switcher data. High speed circuit switch data. This is the internal methodology that will be used for EGPRS with the data rate of the 8 PSK modulation. The data rate of 8 PSK modulation, the enhanced data rate of 48 kbps will be used, whereas data rate will be higher when compared to the corresponding Edge. Okay, next one is CDMA. That is the code division multiple access. So where it has been introduced, how it has been started as one is, this has been evaluated from 2.5G. 2.5G. From the version of the 2.5G itself, we know the word or know the term of CDMA, that is code division multiple access, in 1991 as CDMA 1. It has been introduced as a part of CDMA. The name of this particular communication standard in the external world is CDMA 1, IS 95. That is in the year of the standard of international standard of 95. That is its name as IS 95. But it has been introduced in 1991 year, and it is going to be supporting high data rates, which is leading to the 3G standard. It is going to be supporting high data rates, which is leading to the 3G standard. Here also voice as well as the multimedia communication can be possible for us. And other versions of the CDMA are CDMA 2000, IMT 2000, WCDMA and UMTS. Okay, supporting the different various cellular networks communicating easily among one each other with 3G communication rates. With 3G communication standards and 3G communication standards, you are going to have different versions or enhanced versions of the CDMA. Those are the CDMA 2000, IMT 2000 and WCDMA and the UMTS, right? So the CDMA is from the version of 2.5G in 1991, introduced as the CDMA 1 IS 95, which is the other name of the CDMA 1, supporting a higher data rates from which is called as the 3G evolution. And here also you are going to have the multimedia communication along with the voice and the data. And the enhanced versions of the CDMA are CDMA 2000, IMT 2000, WCDMA and the UMTS, right? And the CDMA1 is, which has been introduced in 1991 by the Qualcomm company of USA, belongs to 2G plus version. Already we discussed interim standards. That is 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 the interim standards of 95. That is already you know about the ISO 9000, ISO 9002, all these things. In that way, the communication standard of interim standards 95 comes under the, this particular CDMA1 comes under the standards of IS 95 and operates at the frequency of 824 to 849 megahertz of up and 869 to 894 megahertz of downlink frequency. Right, it is going to be transmitting the analog signals from multiple sources and the users also. That is, even though you are going to use the CDMA code division multiple access, it can also transmit the analog signals by converting them into the codes again, right? So the CDMA is introduced by the Qualcomm USA company. It's a version of 2G plus. It comes under the coding standards or the international standards of the 95, IS 95, and operates under the frequency of 824 to 849 megahertz of uplink and 869 to 894 megahertz of downlink frequencies, right? And WCDMA, that is the worked, that is nothing but the wide CDMA. You can say wide or vast or whatever it is, wide CDMA, wide code division multiple access. Here it is going to be operated at asynchronous operations, that is irrespective of the time. That is, offline operations and offline category of operations can also be performed using WCDMA, right? Supports asynchronous operations. Supports asynchronous operations is nothing but without the intervention of the time or irrespective of the time interval, we can also perform the offline operations, right? And here 10 milliseconds of frame length with 15 slices is going to be done among the TDMA channels. That is, CDMA is going to be performed, that is WCDMA is performed with the time 10 milliseconds of the frame length. That is, each and every channel will be given with the 10 milliseconds and 15 slices will be done for each and every channel. That is, the TDMA channel will be consisting of, instead of 8 channels, you are going to have the 15 slices. That is TDMA, 8 carriers already we know in the GSM. But here, the CDMA is going to provide you the 15 carriers, that is the 15 channels with 10 milliseconds of frame. Okay, there will be only a end-to-end delay of 10 milliseconds frame when compared to the 20 or 40 in the previous frames. So until the CDMA, we will be having the frame length of more than 10 milliseconds. That is 20, 40 and 8 milliseconds. Because of that particular larger frame length, we used to have the end-to-end delay of more than 10 milliseconds. So that could be reduced with this WCDM. That is if you are having the delay of 10 milliseconds while receiving the data from the sender, then you are able to have the delay of voice and data and also the video and audio. They are going to be get fluctuated while receiving the data from the sender to the receiver side. That could be overcome using this WCDMA, where the frame length has been reduced to very lesser value, that is the 10 milliseconds, which can be reducing our end-to-end delay procedure, right? And how this particular frame length is going to be get modulated to reduce our end-to-end delay and having the very smaller frame length, this could be followed by, and it could be useful and can be done by the QPSK 3x4. QPSK 3x4, that is, within the quadrature phase shift keying modulation, only 3/4 length of that particular quadrature phase shift keying modulation will be used for the frame length and will be modulated using that particular modulation technique for both uplink and downlink, so that we can accommodate 15 channels at a time with only 10 milliseconds of frame length, so that we can fastly and we can send the data from source to the sender or source to the receiver, source to the destination with a minimum delay of transmitting data, and much number of channels can be accommodated and a minimum frame length could be taken to transmit the data for us. So that is the speciality of the WCDMA. There is a speciality of the WCDMA for both uplink and downlink frequencies of both these 15 channels for each and every 15 slices for each and every channel of 124 that we are going to accommodating with only 10 milliseconds of frame length. we are going to use a modulation technique of 3/4 of the QPSK. That is, you are reducing the wavelength of the signal by 3/4 by using the quadrature phase shift keying. Okay. Already we discussed about what is the quadrature phase shift keying modulation. And the next one is the UMTS. This is another version of the CDMA, right? This is the Universal Mobile Telecommunication Standards. Universal Mobile Telecommunication Standards, which is also one of the part or variant of the 3GPP. That is nothing but a 3G version. There is a 3G partnership project, 3GPP and the 3GPP2. This is the technique that is used. I mean, this is UMTS is the one of the techniques that is used at the background of 3GPP and the 3GPP2. Okay. The 3GPP is nothing but a 3G partnership project and 3G partnership project 2. These two are going to be working with the Universal Mobile Telecommunication System as a technology at its background. And its data rate is very higher when compared to the other thing, that is the nowadays what you are achieving with the maximum higher data rate that is being possible with the UMTS itself. And its data rates are been varying from 100 kbps to the 2 Mbps, 100 kbps to that is kilobytes per second to the 2 megabytes per second or bits per second, whatever it is, right? These two are going to be used. So these are the versions of the CDMA. Here with you are going to completing our digital communication standard right from the GSMA or the, I mean, whatever it is called as 1G, 2G, 3G and CDMA procedures. Okay, and coming back to our GSM, the CDMA standards in a single picture. So this is what. So this is a complete picture giving you our communication standards. So GSM 900 is here, GSM 1900 is here, GSM 1800 is here, GPRS, EGPRS, EDGE, WCDMA, CDMA, UMTS, CDMA1. Right, all these mobile devices are here. They are going to communicating and get connected with the mobile communication network. This mobile communication network will get connected with your corresponding frequency spectrum and digital communication standard with which your mobile device is going to be operating. What is our mobile standard? What is our mobile technology? What is its operating technology? What is its operating frequency? So based upon that particular operating frequency, the antenna is going to be receiving its signal from our mobile device. Okay, this particular mobile device is going to be transmitting a signal with the CDMA signal, WCDMA signal. Then the device is going to be first connecting to the mobile communication network. From this, the signal is going to be connected with the signal is going to be get communicated with this WCDMA. Again, this particular WCDMA frame is going to be retransmitting the signal to the corresponding receiver to which you are going to sending the data. So in this way, whatever maybe, if your mobile is only the GSM 1900, then signal will be received by this GSM frequencies and it is going to be retransmitting to our receiver using the same frequency signal. If the particular receiver is CDMA, then it is going to be converted into its standard and it will be communicated to our receiver device. In that way, whatever may be the mobile that you are going to use, which technology or mobile is going to be operating, whether it is operating in a CDMA, whether it is operating in a GSM, and whether it is operating in a CDMA1 or it is using only the edge technology or a GPRS, whatever the technology that you are going to use, that particular communication channel is going to be get picked up by our mobile channel, mobile signal. Then it is going to be formed, it is going to be transformed, it is going to be processed in that particular frequency range, and it is transmitting through that particular range. And again, it is being connected to the mobile communication network and it is being transmitting to the or sending it to the receiver to which you are going to sending the data. Right. So here you are ending our communication standards, digital communication standards and analog communication standards and whatever it is. So here ends our mobile communication part also. Here ends our mobile communication part also. So the communication part has been started with the definition of the communication, right? And we are being differentiated what is the communication and what is the mobile communication. So to know about the mobile communication, what are all the different fundamentals that we have to learn regarding the transmission media, guided transmission and the unguided transmission. Next one is the signals that are being transmitted through the transmission media, their frequencies, ranges, and also the particular antennas that you are going to transmit the signal into the air, different categories of the antennas and how their radiation pattern will be there, and networks and communication standards. protocols. So these are all the different protocols and the different standards that you're going to follow. And while transmitting the signal to the larger distances without losing its energy and strength, how you are going to follow the different modulation techniques, taking each and every characteristic of the signal, how the signal will be described in an equation mathematically, taking the parameters from the equation, how you are going to representing the signal, how you are going to modulating the signal, taking the amplitude as a reference, how you are modulating the signal, you taking the frequency as a reference, how you are going to modulating the signal, taking the phase signal as the reference, and how you have been evaluated into the digital modulation, what are the digital modulation frequencies, how the digital modulation has been get evaluated, what are all the different accessing techniques in the digital standards like CDMA, SDMA, TDMA, OFDMA, and all those things, how you are going to entering into the different digital standards like 1G, 2G, 2G variations, 3G, 3G variations, and now we are at the 4G and 5G standards also, right? So this is about the fundamental history or the fundamentals of the different mobile communication techniques and the methodologies and the features that we have to keep in mind while entering into the mobile computing paradigm. Okay, so here we have been completed our mobile communication part. Now we are entering into our actual subject or the syllabus that is been meant actually for, that is the mobile computing paradigm, right? Right. Coming to the introduction of mobile computing. So what is the mobile computing? We have learned about various characteristics, various important points of the mobile communication, right? So we have taken larger time and also very vast sessions to discuss about the fundamentals of the mobile communication. Now we are coming to our actual thing, that is the mobile computing. So what is the mobile computing? Because of the expanding technology of the cellular networks and the standards, wireless LANs and the satellite communication, information can be accessible from one communication point to the another communication point irrespective of the time and the place. So what size of communication device that you are going to use, what size of communication transmission media that you are going to use, what size of data that you are going to transmitting from one communicating point to the another communicating point, whether that particular communication device is connected device or the handheld device, whether it is wired or wireless, whatever it is, irrespective of the size and where you are going to be locating, where you are being situated geographically, whether you are moving or static, all these things, irrespective of all those things, as you are going to increasing technology in a rapid way, the computers are going to be, that is nothing but the mobile computers or the normal desktop computers or the laptops or the iPads and iPods or the tablets and what are the devices, computing devices that you are going to use. All are being provided with the wireless computing. Wireless computing. Whether you are being computing yourself on that particular device using various network methodologies and the network connectivity, or you are sending your data to your friends or to your neighbors or your office people or whatever it is. If you are sending the data using some network, using a wired or unwired, you are sending the data to that particular device. That is, you are fixed or not, you are moving, you are not situated to the particular place, and your device is maybe a handheld or a desktop or maybe a wired device or any unwired device and whatever it is. Okay, using that particular device, you are computing your methodologies or computations and whatever it is just by searching any data on your device. If you are searching your data on your device, you are computing yourself, you are learning yourself, but using the internet or using some other network, you are getting the signal, you are getting the data, you are doing yourself. Not only you are computing yourself, you are also communicating with the other things also. right? Not only by using the mobile itself, you can also communicate through the laptop, you can communicate to the iPad, or you can communicate to the tablet, or whatever it is. All these things are being equipped with the network connectivity point, and also data computing point, and whatever the thing that the information accessing points, whether they may be wired or unwired, isn't it or not? They are been having all these facilities. So all these facilities and all these advancements, all these requirements led us to the particular computing environment, which is called as the mobile computing, or its name is also called as nomadic computing. Okay, so all these requirements, that is wireless communication, mobile communication, or a faster communication, not only with the mobile, you can also use the laptops, you can also use certain networks, whatever the things, all these requirements are being came as the requirements or necessities or essentials of the users. Whenever these essentials or necessities came into existence, a computing environment has been came as a result into existence. That particular computing environment, either using the mobiles, or they're using the laptops, or they're using your PCs and whatever it is, iPads, tablets, whatever not, all the computing electronic devices are being in want of having the computing facility in their device, whether it is connected or not connected, whether using the network or not, whatever it is. So that particular requirement has been led to the a particular computing environment, or came into an existence of a computing environment called as mobile or nomadic computing environment, where the users will not have to maintain a fixed position to communicate, or a particular mobility position, or a portability, or a particular application, or a specific application, or a specific network. Whatever the network he wants to get jump from, he can communicate, or he can switch to one network to the other network, or he can communicate with one communicating point to the other communicating point, or he can transform the device as a desktop device to the mobile device, or he can communicate to the wired network or the unwired network. He may not remain in a static position. He can move from one point to the another point. So that this particular ease of things can be done by the users using this mobile computing environment or the nomadic environment. So that is nothing but the mobile computing, right? So what a communication device in a mobile and computing environment can possess, and what are all the characteristics of a communication device in a mobile computing environment. That is, a communication device may be a fixed or a wired device. A fixed or a wired device. This is one of the category. That is, it's a power consumption, or a devices are not going to be mobilized. Here in this category of fixed and wired communication device, a particular power consumption and a mobility of the device is not going to be considered. That is, it is going to be fixed at a particular point, and it's going to be connected with a wire, and no mobility is being provisioned. That is, the device couldn't be moved, and it is being connected with the wires. Okay, and also device is going to be connected with a particular network for a performance reason. It couldn't be also not allowed to switch from one network to the another network, as it is connected to the wired network. This is one of the category in a communication device, fixed and wired. Next one is mobile and also wired. Mobile and also wired. What this category of the device is? Our device can be allowed for possibility of mobilizing from one point to the another point, but it is being wired. That is nothing but connected to the particular point. So all the laptops that you are going to use comes into this category. That is, we may connect or reconnect to the network via the telephone network or some modem. Obviously, if you are discussing, or if the point comes with this telephone network and the modem, obviously they will be the wired, isn't it or not? So that as the particular communicating networks or telephone networks are the wired modem, obviously our device is going to be mobilizing, but the network is the wired network. Then one of the device or the communication, our device comes into the category of mobile and wired. If the device is completely fixed and the network is also being fixed, it's both are going to be get wired, then they will be coming into the part of fixed and wired. But if the devices can be mobilized, but the network is wired, then it is called as mobile and wired communication device. And next one is fixed and wireless. Fixed and wireless. What is this? This mode is used for installing networks in historical buildings, avoid damage by installing wires, or at trade shows to ensure fast network setup. For example, for an organization or for a complete a larger building or a campus is going to be get wired with, or it is going to be get fixed with a particular network, but may not be wireless. For example, our college Wi-Fi. Our college Wi-Fi is wireless, but its Wi-Fi is fixed. It won't be switched from one network to the another network. For the performance reasons and to have the fast access of the network, that particular network is been fixed for us, but it is going to be wireless. So that our college network is fixed and wireless. This is one of the communication device. And next one is mobile and wireless. Most interesting case and most mobilizing cases of our mobile devices. Okay, so here no cable restrictions will be there, no roaming restrictions will be there. We may be getting switched from one network to the another network whenever we want. We can use the hotspot of our friend's hotspot, or the Wi-Fi of our friend mobile, or we can switch to our home Wi-Fi, or we can roam to any other particular network if at all if you want to communicate with. Okay. In this way, no wired devices are being required. We can connect to any type of network and no specific modem is required. If there is a modem already in their house, we can switch to our home Wi-Fi, or we can switch to our friend's Wi-Fi, and we can connect to any other external network, right, using the mobile data and whatever it is. In that way, we can use the mobile and wireless communication device, right? Today's most successful example of GSM. Whatever we are using is a GSM users or GSM mobiles itself. So a communication device may have all those four categories. What are those? Fixed and wired, mobile and wired, right? Next one is, sorry, fixed and wired, mobile and wired, fixed and wireless, mobile and wireless. So whatever may be the mobile computing environment that you're going to discuss, they may come into those four categories. So mobile computing environment is not only simply communicating whatever you are doing with our mobile. It can be done also with the mobile laptops, mobile iPads and iPods, tablets and whatever it is. Any device, if it is having a computing environment, falling into all these four categories, any one of these four categories, then that particular computing environment is called as the mobile computing environment. I think I am clear now. I'm explaining about the mobile computing as a particular device having a computing capability to transfer the data or to compute any specific manipulation in your device, or transferring that particular manipulated data to your dear ones or friends or neighbors through a particular network, having falling into any one of these four communicating device categories, then it is called as the mobile, then particular computing device is called as the mobile computing device. As the name implies, a mobile computing device is not only the mobile phone or the cell phone that you are going to use. I think I am clear now. Isn't it? Have you got me or not? So mobile computing is not only pertaining to our mobile device or a cell phone. It may be a device that may be a fixed or wireless, fixed or wired, mobile and wireless, and mobile and wired. Any type of communication device we may have. So these may include laptops, iPads, or your Wi-Fi devices and whatever it is, modems, or your mobile phones. Whatever with the device having some computing capability, connecting to some network and able to transfer your data from one mobile communicating, one communicating point to the another computing point, then those are all coming into the mobile computing environment, right? Right. And coming to the applications, what are all the novel applications of your mobile computing environment? So we are being discussed about four categories of the devices, communicating devices: wired, fixed, mobile, wireless, mobile, wired, okay, mobile and wireless. All these four categories are having different variations of applications in real time. So what are these different variations of applications in real time? We can see through. But some of the applications are being listed here, like smartphones, enterprise solutions, music, video and ebooks, mobile checks, mobile commerce, mobile based supply chain management. So these sort and these variants of applications are available in real time for us to compute our applications or to compute our real-time needs. To compute our real-time needs, we are going to use all these applications, either using the smartphones, either using the enterprise solutions, we are using the music, video, and ebooks, we are performing the mobile commerce, we are using the mobile checks in the banking environments, we are also using the supply chain management in the business organizations. So we are having the wide range of novel applications using this mobile computing environment. So we'll see what are these applications in detail in the next class. In detail, how you are going to using this. After that, you will go through the mobile computing architecture, different layers, and how it is going to be working, and different programming languages, and what is the functionality of the mobile computing architecture. In general, what could be the different layers existing in the mobile computing architecture in any environment, either it is a mobile or maybe a laptop or whatever it is, right? So today we discussed about the remaining versions of the digital standards of mobile communication. So taking the fundamentals and different important points of the mobile communication, we discussed about what is the mobile computing environment. So irrespective of the device that you are going to use, if the device is having the capability of computation, connecting to the network and communicating with other communicating point, then we are saying that there is a mobile computing device. So if you are having that particular chance of capability, and if you are having the want of that particular computation, then we can use that particular mobile computing environment to execute our real-time application, right? And that particular communication device of different categories of 4 categories, that is fixed and wired, fixed and wireless, fixed and mobile, mobile and wired, mobile and wireless. So different categories of the communication devices are there, which can be possible to have. And also we are having wide range of novel applications with the use of this mobile computing environment. We will see the applications in detail in the next class, and also followed by the architecture, and also followed by the GSM protocol. So with the architecture, we will be completing the first half part of the first unit. Okay, we'll be having very vast syllabus. Please be concentrate and please be very keen in while listening the class. Why? Because we have to run through the second unit. We have to run through the second unit, taking these fundamentals. I am not going to repeating in detail all these fundamentals from the second unit. Why? Because once you are tuning to this particular subject, once you are completely tuned to this particular subject, I have to run with the second unit. Okay, so please be referee this particular first unit thoroughly, so that we have to go in a speedy way, that is in a faster way from the second unit to cover the syllabus, right? And coming to your assignment, Edmodo assignment, already quiz has been given for you in the last week. Assignment has also been posted in the yesterday, and assignment consists of 2 questions which has to be legibly written. Don't copy from one to the another. Search it on your own and put it on the A4 papers. First A4 paper should be right top corner should be headed by your details like name, complete register number, year, and the semester, and headed by the main heading should be the mobile computing first assignment. Write down the question, put your answer, and scan the total papers, make a PDF and post it in the Edmodo. Do it before the due date. The due date is this Thursday, that is 3rd September, evening 9 p.m. After that, it will be get lock. And every grades of your assignment, every grades of your quiz will be get updated to the HOD from time to time. So what are all your activities, what are your attendance, everything will be get updated to the HOD daily. According to the time interval, it will be get updated. Your activities will be get updated to the HOD, and your attendance and your gradings will be get also to be updated with the updated to your university. So be regular to your class. Don't disturb the any class, and don't talk your nonsense while the class is going on. If you are unable to mute yourself and you are unable to remain silent while the class is going on, please mute yourself first, so that other members are not going to be get disturbed. Okay, so I'm here. I'm ending the session here. Leave the session and go through the topics. Please be keen while class is going on. This particular first unit is very important to know your fundamentals, to get go through with the other chapters. Okay, so I'm leaving the meeting now. Okay, thank you.